Sounds good. So let's
All right.
go around the call and announce who you are. This is Dave Dubois here in Las Cruces.
Raymond Beta, Spear Reclamation, Albuquerque.
Ollie Reed, Albuquerque Journal.
When he was doing his PMIs, I was also doing the PMAs.
Curtis McFadden.
Dave Noblin,
Curtis McFadden, Albuquerque
National Weather
District.
Service.
You know, all these alarms and all.
Everyone, please mute your line if you're not speaking.
No big deal.
This is Royce Fontenot. I'm the Senior Service Hydrologist here at Weather Service Albuquerque.
This is Molly Magnuson with the Office of the State Engineer. I'm actually I'm just on the phone. So if I lose you due to cell phone reception, then that's the way it goes. And I do not have access to our presentation, which we sent you.
Okay.
This is Sigmund Silber from the Santa Fe Pewaukee Soil and Water Conservation District.
Welcome.
Good morning, everybody. This is Victor Murphy. I'm with the National Weather Service Southern Region Headquarters in Fort Worth, Texas.
Anybody else?
Yeah, this is Greg Story from West Gulf RFC in Fort Worth.
Welcome, Greg. Any from Drought Monitor author today? Doesn't sound like it. Last call? All right. Great. Well, welcome everyone to the September Drought Monitoring Work Group. And I think we got Royce's PowerPoint up, so go for it, Royce.
All right. Good morning, everyone. A little bit different change of the week. We're a little bit later. The drought monitors are out for this week, so we'll be talking about trends for next. So, start off. Kind of review this. This is from our AHAPS product. This is August 2016 precipitation. Again, we, as we kind of discussed last call, started seeing a nice wet trend there on the southeast. Going by West Gulf RFC's QPE quantitative precipitation estimates. They're well over 300% normal in the southeast. Again, I want to draw attention here, and this is why I'm a little hesitant on this product, but we will see some trends here. That dividing line right there is where we transition between river forecast centers. So that's not necessarily a real artifact. There is some truth to that, but keep that in mind. That's a combination of data and method change there on that product. But the key point here in the southeast in particular really had a nice August. And through this morning, this is analysis through as of yesterday morning, for September, a little more even. We've seen that continuation of those above normal rainfall totals, particularly for the southeast. Hurricane Newton gave us a nice slug of moisture over the southwest as well. Again, you can see that line between the RFCs, but the data is a little more consistent here. Other factors, too, are also giving a little bit of a drying trend there in the northwest. We've had some precipitation up there, but certainly below where we'd like to see. Again, data poor area, so keep that in mind. This is from the Western Regional Climate Center, 30-day precip totals and departure from normal. This is all gauge based. Again, you can see the southeast over the last 30 days since August 22nd has really got a good slug of moisture, particularly, and also southwest. This doesn't fully account for Hurricane Newton in some ways because gauges over Catron County, some of those may not be included in this analysis from Western Region Climate Center, but we certainly had some pretty good totals there in Catron County over the last 60 days or so of up to 10 to 15 inches, and so those gauges in Whitewater Baldy. So keep that in mind, but certainly we've gotten some moisture back. And continuing that trend through the 60 and 90 days, these are percent of averages. And again, we're seeing that nice increase across a good bit of the state. Again, this is gauge based, so you're going to see some of those bullseyes, but the trend is certainly there. All right, look at standardized precipitation index. This is from High Plains Regional Climate Center, but all NOAA data, again, gauge-based. But we can see the trend there as we've been discussing the last several calls. Water year, we're looking fairly decent. Mind you, that is particularly biased toward around the December time frame, and then of course the last several weeks there in the southeast. But you can again see the southeast has done pretty well, and you'll see in the current drought monitor that was official as of this morning, that's really eliminated some of the drought. Okay, so this is the PRISM data. Again, this is from Oregon State University, same trends, a little bit different way of analyzing the data. You do see ultimately just how wet August was. Statewide average, which I hate to use, but from NOAA is we are looking at the 8th wettest August on record with about 1.2 inches above normal statewide, most of that again in the southeast. And to date, through September, that data, that trend we saw in the AHAPS data is also showing up in the PRISM data, where the Northwest is remaining pretty dry, well below normal, but the rest of 2/3 of the state are doing pretty well. So again, here's some of the graphics from what was formerly NCDC, now National Centers for Environmental Information. August 2016, 8th wettest on record statewide, 132% of normal. Looking at the calendar year so far, 77th driest, so right kind of in the middle, about an inch below normal there. But on the low side, again, that a lot of this early summer. Water year, still above normal, looking about 35th west, again, the last month or so, and then, of course, the precipitation around Christmas really helped us there. And then here's the 12-month, and this did not get updated. I apologize for that, so let's ignore this. I was doing the slides last week, and then I've been out most of this week, so. All right, this is the current soil moisture data. This was updated this weekend by Brian Geyer here in our office. I appreciate him doing that since I was out. You can see this is the deep soil moisture change, so not quite column, but through 200 centimeters, through 2 meters down. The arch starting to see a drying trend. Again, you can see over Catron County and southwest, nice and moist from remnants of Newton, southeast, significant increase. About the same time frame as when Hurricane Newton came through, but a different moisture source, but still. The trend is there. Southeast is moistened nicely. We do see that drying trend in the northwest portion of the state. And then here's the basically topsoil, the 0 to 10 centimeter. Again, seeing that drying trend in the northwest. Some in the southeast of the last, this is kind of more reactive to local precipitation, so as you have a drier set of days in there, you'll see that. So regional drought status. This is fresh off the press this morning. This is through the west. Over California, those areas, not a lot of change. Still, good bit of severe drought to extreme drought, mostly California. You can see New Mexico is moistened up nicely. A lot of these changes were last week, if you haven't been watching. And very low, if any, changes this week. Again, most in the western half of the United States, California, again, is the news for drought. Looking closer here at the state, still holding about 4% in moderate drought, D1, a little bit patch over our east central part of the state, and then our border with Arizona. Hurricane Newton and the other storms really helped clear out the areas of D1 and briefly D2 that we had in the southeast portion of the state. So we're doing pretty well there. 3-month change, we were kind of status quo beginning of the summer. You can, and this map, this isn't necessarily the best slide, but because we've kind of morphed around through there, but had a little bit of expansion in some areas of D0, but a lot of cutback in the D1 through D4. So we're going to go in the extended outlook here, and This is most of these slides are all going to come from our Climate Prediction Center with some data thrown in from the Air National Research Institute, which is at Columbia University. So, see from CPC's briefing on Monday, sea surface temperatures in the tropical Pacific, again, holding at near to below average east of the international date line. Still cool, but we'll see what that trend's doing here shortly. Weekly departures weakened a little bit in that eastern Pacific, and the negative anomaly, so cooler than normal waters, have persisted over the east central equatorial. So in that ballpark of that 3.4 region that we kind of use. But those further east regions have warmed up a little bit. So Niño region departures, again, this is as of Monday. Niño 4, which is that furthest west, is just a little bit below normal. 3.4 is holding at about minus 0.6 right now, and actually Niño 1.2, which is that just off the South American coast, is actually above normal. But those have weakened. So the outlook for ENSO. ENSO neutral is slightly favored, 55 to 60% chance through the northern hemisphere through fall winter. So in previous months, for those who have been missing, it was roughly a 50 to 55% chance of a weak La Niña. They've backed off of that, and you can kind of see that trend there. That neutral looks to be the way to go. And we'll have a little more discussions about this here briefly. So most of the models are indicating ENSO neutral or borderline not La Niña. And remember, for CPC to kind of declare a La Niña in effect, you need not only that criteria they have of sea surface temperatures consistently seeing the average of minus 0.05, but you also need to have the atmospheric component coupled as well. And we're not quite seeing that. So even though you're looking at the model mean here, this is from IRI and CPC, holding through the winter at about minus 0.5, that is the reason they've kind of backed off. The European model, which is probably arguably the best model all around globally, it does pretty well, generally one of the strongest on predicting sea surface temperature anomalies, and it's not buying it. I tried to highlight it in this picture. It's really hard to see, but I've got another slide that'll give you the numbers in there. So the euro is showing more neutral, a neutral condition, so that has leaned into their forecast there. Not certain, could see a weak La Niña, but the trends are more of a neutral condition. Here is the Sept, National Weather Service Climate Forecast System. Their trend, again, showing the same thing, kind of holding around 0.5 and then going later, seeing that increase into neutral conditions there. And I got this from Victor Murphy at Region. Appreciate him sending it out. It was quite timely. So talking about the models. So these are the dynamic models. These are the computer models, basically, not statistical based. And these are kind of their forecasts. That is the euro. That is a heavy weight, both in how we do our normal forecast, meteorological forecasts, as well as the climate. And there, the euro is just not going for anything but neutral conditions there. So that has played pretty heavily into the La Niña, El Niño outlook. So kind of forecast summary from CPC, no watches out. Neutral conditions are expected and are present. And then still below normal, but like I said, the trend is favored ENSO neutral, or as often you'll hear us joke call it La Nada. So going into the CPC outlooks, this is the October outlook showing equal chances for precipitation for most of New Mexico, a little bit of that northeast corner in the normal to above normal. And temperature-wise, no surprise here, normal to above normal, strong chance of normal to above normal for most of the state. Only a very small sliver of the state of equal chances right there, and that's October. So going through fall, early winter, this is October, November, December. Precipitation outlook, most of the states staying equal chances, looking at normal to below normal in the very southeast corner, the corner of the state that the Weather Forecast Office in Midland covers, with a little bit of our area there. And temperature, again, no surprise, normal to above normal, expecting a warm fall and into early winter. Then just taking a quick look at December through February, holding that same trend, looking at a normal to above normal temperatures with a very small part of the state in equal chances and below normal precipitation, normal to below normal. A lot of this has been driven by trends. So when CPC does the forecast, they don't just look at what the computer models are saying. They also take into account what's the trend. If you've had 3 winters that are normal to above normal, odds are you know persistence, you're probably going to get there. But the takeaway, warm and dry. Of course, this has implications for snowpack. So even if you get the precipitation, it may come as rain, not snow. And seasonal drought outlook, September 15th through December 31st. As expected, and it's kind of been the trend, drought going away, probably persisting over the Continental Divide right there along our border with Arizona, and probably improving there to the east. So that's all I have. Since Victor's also a regional climate focal point, did you have anything extra to add in there, Victor?
No, I have nothing, Royce. I thought you did a really good job of summarizing everything, and I guess maybe during the call, I know perhaps for next week's drought monitor, we can get some kind of consensus on any tweaks or changes perhaps that we can make for the drought monitor next week. The thing that jumps out at me after seeing your presentation is just how wet it's been in the southeast part of the state. So I think maybe we can do some removal of some of the drought that's currently in I guess Roosevelt and Curry counties in that area. But anyway, I think maybe that's one thing that we could discuss as a group.
Yep. Thanks, Victor. And Greg is one of our hydrometeorologists at West Gulf. Did you have anything to add on the precip?
No, I think you covered it well.
All right, thank you, Greg. All right, that's all I've got here from Albuquerque.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, that outlook sure looks like a La Niña to me from just the past few years, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think I agree. Looking at the conditions around D1 over in Curry and southwest Clay County and a bit into Guadalupe. Not a lot of data in that area, but some worth looking into. I'll probably be heading up there in a few days to do some maintenance, but I haven't looked a whole lot into that yet as of today.
All right, let me at least get the next presentation up, and while you go through the agenda.
So that'll be our homework, is to look a little more into that area between now and maybe the next couple days.
Agreed. Yeah, they've really gotten. We've had some floods out that way as well.
Yeah.
They've really gotten a good amount of precipitation. So, I think the soil moisture change right there, particularly the column soil moisture, was pretty telling.
Yeah. Yeah, I drove through I-10 west, and there's some areas that are very wet, and then there's some really dry areas. Driving through Deming, Lordsburg, and even going into Cochise County into Arizona, and there's definitely areas. But I think overall, I think we can probably keep the D0 there. You okay with that, Dave Novlin?
Yeah, despite recent good rains in that area still, as you put in the real southwest there, is still been sort of neglected and hasn't gotten the good rain as the others have. So D0 probably is a good place to stay at.
Yeah, I did dig some holes over on the far west as you go into Arizona, and it's very dry on the top, say 4 or 5 centimeters, and then it started I could feel the wetness a bit in some of the clay soils out there. So But that was just a one location, so that doesn't mean anything on for the whole area. That's more like over by the playa west of Lordsburg.
Okay.
And that's
Yeah, I threw it back up to 0 to 10 centimeter soil moisture there. So
it's in that spotty area in the far southwest. There's some real dry and some definite wet areas.
yeah, and we maybe want to look at maybe a discussion topic as we dig some more. Kind of our northwest section there. Right now, we've got the let's see, we've got that D1. Maybe we need to discuss, the next several days in this next round, maybe slight expansion of that D1.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a good idea to engage our Navajo partners. That's the Chusca Mountains. Be good to look at. I know there's that one scan-like station up there. Yeah, I think we need to bring them in. And the Farmington, the Ag Science Center was on the ballpark of like 70% of average for the calendar year. That's right. That's pretty much northern part of San Juan. Central San Juan.
Yeah, so I think certainly looking at that, digging in some more data for that northwest is probably some of the next few days to take a look at.
Sounds like a plan. Okay. Well, we should want to move on to. I don't know. Let's start off with Raymond and Beta with the Bureau of Reclamation on the reservoir. The reservoir status. Yeah.
Yep. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Alrighty. I'll start with the Rio Grande. Total 19,087 acre feet. Heron 100,091. Alvarado 50,796. Avacu 123,251. Cochiti 45,223. Alphen Butte 130,361. Caballo 99,46. On the Pecos, Santa Rosa 57,227 acre feet. 723,472. Brantley 37,151. Navalon 29,18. So on the Rio Grande, on the lower Rio Grande, they're going to release till the 26th, next Wednesday, and they're going to shut completely off below Caballo. And to all districts in Mexico will be off and done for the season. They will pretty much drain Caballo. And they're going to do some outlet work and maintenance and whatnot stuff. And on the middle Rio Grande, we're winding down. Demand has gone fairly low. There's just about 5 weeks to go, and so it'll be a pretty much bare bones operation as far as for irrigation for the minnow. On the Pecos, we're doing well. Like you said, the majority of the rain we've seen is not in the southeast for sure. There's some places caused by the irrigation district they're reporting over 3 inches, and they pretty much went 2-3 weeks without irrigating below Bradley. They just started that up this past week, I think on Monday, the canal again. So otherwise, they didn't have to have water for 2-3 weeks. So they're doing really well down there. Same on the upper area, in Fort Sumner area. They're not using quite all the water, so we're able to maintain the river flows and keep it connected. With some of their houses can bring the water back to the river. Also, otherwise, the boat on the Pecos is completely connected, and We're doing well. Just winding down the season and get another one under our belt. That's all I have. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Raymond. All right. There's well, we got the. Do we have a report from NRCS? I think Chris was out doing maintenance, or is he on the call? Chris Romero? No, I guess not. How about Anne Marie? She's not on the call. Nope. Okay, so let's. Molly, are you still on your cell?
I'm on the phone call, but we sent the presentation to Royce. He can run through the slides if you want.
Okay.
I am in the car. So.
Oh, good. Very good.
Hi, Molly. It's Royce. I don't know if you have any numbers or anything with you, but I'm on Navajo here, or I can just go to a summary slide.
Sure.
Okay, let's see. Navajo looks like it is still below average, but a little bit below previous months, so not much change at Navajo. Ute looks like it is still above average, a little bit of a drop down. Santa Rosa, drawn down from last month, still above average. Sumner looks like right about last month was a little bit below average, now a little bit above. Definitely the recent rains there have helped. Still well below last year's position. Brantley looks like we are well above where we were last month and above average. Again, recent rainfalls have helped there. Perrin, still low and below previous month there. Ovado, again, we've dropped a little bit close to where we were last month, but well below average last year and a little bit below previous month. Abiquiu, above previous month right there, but pretty close to where we were last year, still below the long-term average. Elephant Butte, a little bit of change from last month, still well below the long-term average there. Caballo, we are well below previous month there, down to looks like about 12,000. And there's our summary table through when Molly sent me the slides a few days ago there.
Alrighty, thanks. Thanks, Royce, for pinch hitting, and thanks Molly for providing the graphics again.
Sure. No, thank you to Royce also.
All right. Let's see. Is anybody from the NMDA? I'll reach out to those folks. And I think, Susan, did you manage to get on? And I think right before the call, Susan sent an email. Go ahead. Okay. Susan said she sent a little table of wildfires to date, calendar year 2016. So for the total to date, I'm not sure what database this is. Total fires, state and federal, is 1,268, representing 225,071 acres. In New Mexico, there were 591 fires, covering 116,399 acres, and that's that. I'm not sure, that must be from yesterday or today, for a calendar year 2016. A couple more points that Susan mentioned. Prescribed fires in New Mexico to date since January 1st. from all jurisdictions. We had 57 prescribed fires covering 44,201 acres. New Mexico State Forestry tracks fires on state and private lands. We call those statistical fires. For fiscal year 17, there have been 247 statistical fires. The fires burned a total of 47,771 acres. Approximately 73% of those were caused by lightning. And she also mentions higher precipitation the past couple of years and resulting abundance of fine fuels led to an increase in both fire starts and acres burned during 2017 over the last two fire seasons. New Mexico joined the Great Plains Interstate Compact this year. That enabled the state to bring in firefighting resources from neighboring states to catch fires during initial attack while our own resources were committed to large incidents. And she mentions there's a little to low risk for significant fire activity over the next week. You can look it up in the 7-day forecast, and which we can put that on the website. And then the last couple more things. The monthly fire potential outlook comes out the first of the month. You can find the current outlook describing weather factors, which includes drought conditions, precip temperature anomalies, and outlook, plus significant fire potential and prescribed fire implications out there. NIFC SWIC page for the monthly outlook, and she mentions two other items. A little non-fire news: State Forestry and U.S. Forest Service flew aerial surveys and mapped insect and disease impacts on New Mexico's forest lands over the summer. We will be able to provide you with an updated statewide forest health report later this fall, which I very much look forward to. And the last thing that Susan provides is there's an initiative underway looking at the interaction and landscape impacts of fire and climate change in the Southwest. The Phase 1 workshop last week had scientists and managers discussing the dynamics between climate, fire regime, and ecosystem impacts and provide input to guide future phases 4 and all. The project will go through 2018. So that concludes Susan Rich's report from the EMNRD. And if you have questions, I'll gladly take them, but I probably have to forward them to Susan. And if you guys need any contact information, I can get that to you. I didn't hear anybody from FSA. Anthony, I don't think he was on the call either. Okay, do we want to do we have all the discussion that we have for the U.S. Drought Monitor? Anybody think of any other items? It's mainly going to be homework. Sound good? All right. The one other thing I just want to bring up is because the main reason for moving the meeting to today is I went to the ENITIS meeting in Tucson, and that they're basically reinvigorating the Intermountain West Drought Early Warning System, the DEWS, and it was basically in a way it wanted to get more input from our folks in Arizona, New Mexico, and Colorado, and maybe some folks in Utah. But basically the purpose of the meeting there was to provide an update on current drought status. I gave that, and Nancy Sellover from Arizona did that, looking at El Niño, La Niña. And then a lot of the stuff, and I'll send out a link once it gets up on the web, showcasing current resources for drought early warning, including research tools. There's some new products out there that folks have been testing out. There's one called the EDDI, which is the Evaporative Demand Drought Index, which has been testing out over at CU series over in Boulder. And there's been a couple other efforts out in Arizona from the RISA, CLEMAS, on some ideas on how to address rangeland, forest, drought early warning. And the other purpose was to get feedback from various folks from a smaller group to see where we want to go in terms of informing the development of a DEWS strategic plan. and that's sort of a good start for engaging you guys and anybody on this call, or and any other people who you think would be interested in participating in future meetings with the Intermountain West. And basically we're still kind of gelling in with the regions. There's 2 DOs that are being developed more or less in New Mexico. There's the Southern Great Plains, which is managed out of Oklahoma, which covers mainly the eastern side of the state, and then the Intermountain West, which was this one. So big questions were things like triggers. So that's kind of what I'm looking into, is like, what are some of the trigger things that you guys look for when you're looking at management decisions, or looking at, so if it's down the road, what are the time scales in terms of how far do you need to look out for something that you're concerned about, and for drought impending, specifically when we don't have a ENSO trigger to help us, knowing, like now with a neutral, we really don't know exactly what's going to happen. Things can go either way, I think. So are there any other trigger things like, I was thinking like green updates, stream flow, and stuff that's local. I think we can cover. I think a lot of other folks are doing the teleconnection things, and looking at influence of the blob and PDO and some other oceanic indices to see if there's some connections out there. But I like to focus some on the local impacts of. So that I don't want to talk too much on that, but I'll forward some info on how you guys can get plugged in, and it's more of a community effort to get collaborative work done. So and Alicia Mars has been managing. She's up in she's actually a NOAA, but she's been kind of heading these dues. So let me know if you're interested, and I'll send out the information to the list. Any questions? Spellbound. Okay, great. Okay, any other announcements for the group? Are we good? So, okay. All right, we got some homework to do, to look at some of the far west, northwest, south central, east central, southwest on the drought monitor. And yeah, okay, that's just a bit background. So we want to look at the next month's schedule. I think I got to confirm this, but there's a maximum probable precipitation meeting in Denver on the 25th and 26th. Is anybody on the call going to that? This is October.
It's Royster in Albuquerque. I'm not going, but I think those dates are correct if I remember right. Okay.
Yeah, they've been trying to get me to go to. I missed the first one, and I think I'll probably go to this one. And that would be one of our traditional times, is having the CPC Outlook comes out on the 20th, the third Thursday, and then we usually meet on the Tuesday. But how about meeting again on the Thursday, the 27th?
I'll have to look at my schedule here, Dave, but that's fine here at Albuquerque. We'll make it work.
How about other folks? Is there any other major conflicts?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So we can... Okay, last call. So we can do the next drought monitoring call October 27th, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And please send out any updates you get on anything that we could help us out with impacts. And again, I'll follow up with some of our other folks who couldn't make this call today. Are we good? 27. All right. Well, thanks folks. For those who provided all the input, I really appreciate it. And thanks, Royce, again for hosting this. And good job keeping this going. Appreciate it.
Not a problem. You're
All right.
welcome.
We'll see you guys next month.
Bye.